Donald Trump's campaign is once again scrambling to clean up a mess of its own making, this time over a single meme-style video and one very loaded word, Reich. That word flashed for just a moment in a short clip shared by Trump's own account. But the fallout was immediate, and it tells us a lot about how his operation is running, who he's trying to signal, and why so many Republicans are still terrified to say anything about it. I'm going to walk through exactly what happened, what the reaction has been, and what this incident reveals about the broader direction of Trump's movement heading into the election. If you're new here, remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss our coverage holding Trump and his enablers to account. Let's start with the meme itself. The video went up on Trump's Truth Social account, not a random fan page, not a parody account, the official channel his team uses as a megaphone. It was styled like a hype reel for a second Trump term. Quick cuts, dramatic music, and a fake timeline of what would happen if he wins in November. You've seen that genre of content before. It's meant to be viral, snappy, easy to repost in group chats. But in one of the frames, the text on screen described a unified Reich, not unified country, not strong America, unified Reich. That's not subtle. Reich is a German word historically tied to the First, Second, and most notoriously, the Third Reich, Hitler's regime. It's a term soaked in the imagery of Nazism, World War, and genocide. It is not a word any American presidential campaign accidentally drops into an upbeat video, unless something has gone very, very wrong. And it took only minutes for people to spot it. Screenshots of that frame started circling X and other platforms almost immediately. Journalists, historians, Jewish organizations, and regular voters were asking the same question. Why is a major party candidate's campaign using Nazi-coded language in its own promotional content? Here's how one cable segment described it when they pulled up the frame on screen. The Trump timeline card with New American Age. And then right below it, Unified Reich in clean, bold typeface. No context, no explanation, just that phrase embedded in a piece of campaign propaganda. So how did Trump's team respond? Very quickly, the video disappeared from his feed. It was quietly deleted, and then the spin began. Campaign aides told reporters that the clip was created by a random account, that a staffer had grabbed it and shared it, and that no one had noticed the Reich wording before posting. Once it was brought to their attention, they said they took it down. In other words, it was just a meme. We didn't read it carefully, and anyway, it wasn't officially produced in-house. That explanation raises more questions than it answers. First, this wasn't buried in microscopic legal text. Unified Reich was part of the actual message. Someone had to watch that video, upload it, and push it out on the personal account of a former president running for office again. And we're supposed to believe no one thought, hey, maybe this looks a little Third Reich adjacent. Second, this is not the first time Trump world has veered into Nazi symbology or language and then claimed ignorance after the fact. Back in 2020, his campaign ran Facebook ads featuring a large red inverted triangle, the same symbol Nazis used to label political prisoners in concentration camps. Facebook took those ads down after outcry from civil rights groups. The campaign's defense at the time, they said it was just a generic Antifa symbol. Trump has reposted QAnon imagery, shared content from openly white nationalist accounts, and used words like vermin to describe his political opponents. Language historians have explicitly connected to fascist propaganda from the 1930s and 1940s. He's had dinner with Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. He's praised authoritarian leaders repeatedly, from Viktor Orban to Kim Jong-un. Each time the pattern is the same. Lean into the rhetoric, then back off just far enough to give allies something, anything they can point to as an excuse. So when the campaign now claims the word Reich just randomly snuck into a Trump meme and nobody noticed, you are well within your rights to be skeptical. Let's talk about the fallout, because that was immediate too. Jewish organizations and anti-hate groups condemned the video. You had watchdogs saying this was yet another example of dangerous normalization, extremist symbols slowly pushed from fringe message boards into mainstream politics. Democrats seized on it, obviously. The Biden campaign and top surrogates called it horrifying and warned that Trump is once again flirting with explicitly fascist themes. One line we heard over and over from critics was this: when people tell you who they are, in their own words, in their own imagery, believe them. But what might be even more telling is how Republicans responded. Most of them didn't. You didn't see a chorus of GOP senators saying, "This is unacceptable, take it down, apologize." You had a few half-hearted attempts to dismiss it as just online content or a nothing burger, and then a rapid attempt to move the conversation back to inflation, immigration, anything else. That silence is the point. This is exactly how normalization happens. Step by step, a meme appears with Nazi language. There's outrage for 24 hours. The campaign blames a staffer or an anonymous supporter. Republican officials say it was just an accident or they haven't seen the video. And then everyone moves on until the next incident. And if you're a strategist inside Trump's orbit, you understand that dynamic very well. These kinds of clips fire up a certain segment of the online base that is already steeped in far-right subcultures. The Reich reference functions like a wink. But the campaign also builds in plausible deniability, just enough distance that when mainstream viewers object, they can wave it away as overreacting to a meme. Is it intentional? Is it incompetence? In a sense, it doesn't matter. The effect is the same. Extremist language keeps getting test run in wider and wider circles. And for anyone who thinks this is only about online discourse, there are real-world stakes attached to this. We are already living through a period of rising anti-Semitism and political violence. Jewish communities have been warning for years that Nazi imagery is not abstract to them. It's part of a historical trauma that led directly to mass murder. When the man who has a very real chance of returning to the White House is circulating content that uses the language of Reichs and glorifies a hardline, vengeful second term, it sends a signal about who will feel safe and who will not if he regains power. Now, you might be wondering, does this actually hurt Trump politically with his hardcore base? Probably not. Many of them either don't see a problem or they enjoy the outrage it produces. But with swing voters, suburban moderates, and especially younger voters who consume a lot of their news through social media, these stories accumulate. It becomes harder and harder for Trump's team to insist he's simply a tough conservative when people keep seeing imagery and language that echoes some of the darkest movements in modern history. And it also puts pressure on the rest of the Republican Party. Every time something like this happens, GOP leaders have to make a choice. Speak out and risk Trump's wrath, or stay quiet and hope voters don't notice. Most of them are choosing silence. That tells you exactly how much control Trump still has over his party and how weak the internal guardrails are. I want to play out what this means looking ahead. Memes are not side content anymore. They are campaign messaging. They are how candidates shape their narrative, recruit volunteers, and set the emotional tone of their movements. When a campaign elevates a meme to the candidate's personal account, that is a decision. When it includes a loaded word like Reich, that is not just a stylistic choice. It's a signal about which histories they are comfortable invoking and which boundaries they are more than willing to cross. And when the response from the broader party is basically, well, the staffer hit repost too fast, that's not accountability. That's complicity. So the real question going forward isn't only why did this one meme say unified Reich? It's how many more of these mistakes are we going to see between now and Election Day? And what are we prepared to do about a movement that keeps playing footsie with the iconography of fascism while asking for our votes? Because a few years from now, people will look back and ask where everyone stood when these warning signs were flashing. Not just on policy, but on what kind of political culture we were willing to accept. Were you one of the people brushing it off as just a meme? Or were you paying attention to what it actually revealed? I'll keep following this story and others like it because these details matter. If you want that coverage in your feed, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button so more people see this, and let me know in the comments what you think this incident tells us about Trump's campaign and the Republican Party that's still lining up behind him.